have this extra 240 volt outlet in my basement, which would be very convenient if I had an extra 240 volt appliance, but I don't. So I currently have a 120 volt circuit for the washing machine and a 240 volt circuit for the dryer, and then I just have this extra plug, but I don't have any extra 120 plugs, which would be really convenient if I need to plug in a vacuum or a dehumidifier or anything else, because I don't have any extra plugs. So I'm going to convert this 240 outlet to a 220 outlet. I've already taken the wall plate off and pulled it out of the box, and I do have the power off. So first thing, I'm just going to confirm that the power is actually off with my tester here, and it is. So we're safe to start disconnecting the wires. And the installer wrapped electrical tape around this one, so I'll have to peel that off first. And this is a standard 3-wire configuration with a black wire, a red wire, and a ground. For my new outlet, I'm going to be installing a 20 amp GFCI. This is on a 20 amp circuit, and since it's in the basement and on an outside wall that occasionally gets some water running down it when we have a big rain, I want to do a GFCI to be safe. So there's no need to refish different wires through this conduit. Normally we'd have a white wire, but what we can do is just take the red wire and wrap it in white tape to indicate that that's the neutral. And we'll make sure to do the same on the other side in the fuse box. So now with my GFCI, we're going to do white to bright, so the silver terminal. And this outlet actually just calls for straight connections. So you can just run the wire in and screw it down. All right, and we'll attach the ground on the green screw on the bottom. Okay, and with all those connections made, we can fold the wires and install this back into the box. And we can install the wall plate. Next, we need to work on the electrical panel. To do this, I'm going to shut off the main breaker to the whole house and remove the cover. And with the panel removed, we can see all the breakers. Now, I need a caution that these two top wires are still live. Some panels have another plate that covers that up, but everything below that should be off. So we can test here. We can tell that's a hot line. That's a hot line coming in from the city, but everything else is off. So we need to stay away from the two top lines. And what I actually see here, this is the two 20 amp breakers that are feeding, or that were feeding, that 240 volt outlet that I just changed. So what I want to do is take these out and convert them to one 20 amp breaker. However, then I'm going to have an empty slot. Now they make plastic placeholders basically, but what I see below this is a double breaker. So I believe that the 240 outlet was installed later, and then the two breakers that were here were combined into doubles. So we're still going to have net plus one breaker on here from the original install, but I want to separate this out into two separate 20 amp breakers, so we're filling up all the slots. We don't have a dead slot followed by a couple double slots. So what I've done is I just popped this out, and we can tell the lines in there are dead. And you'll remember from the other side of this line that the red is actually acting as my neutral. So what I'm gonna do is label that on this side as well. And then it's time to disconnect that breaker. All right, so I have one of my new 20 amp breakers here. We're just gonna connect the black wire. Okay, then we can install that in the top position. Now I need to take the neutral wire and run it to a neutral bus. So there's one right along the left-hand side here. Okay, with that complete, I'm going to remove this double breaker and switch it to two individuals. And on these kind, the back slides in first, and then you can pop in the front. Okay, and that does it. Now I'm going to turn the main power back on and go test my circuits. Back at the new plug, I'm going to test to make sure we have power. And I think the reset button's tripped. So we do. Now I want to test what we're getting through there to make sure it's 120. So my gauge, 121.6. And since I installed a GFCI, I'm going to use my GFCI tester here. So on this model, 2 yellow lights means it works. And we just simulated a trip and it went off, which is excellent. I'm gonna reset it and we're back to normal. So I'm gonna plug in my dehumidifier down here and start using it. And I have the dehumidifier plugged in, the cord run behind that cabinet, and it is working perfectly on a 120 circuit. Now I'm going to close up the panel, and this is really something I should have done before turning the power on at all. Finally, I'm going to relabel this so that it'll be very clear to myself and anyone coming down here in the future which breaker is for which circuit.